What if I told you that the road from addiction to recovery doesn't always end with recovery? That's Jason Beckwith's story, as the now recovered addict has returned to help others along their journey. He's going to sit down with us in the second part of our Community and Focus special to talk about why and what it's like working with addicts. That's all coming up right here, right now. I'm Sam Chen, and this is Face the Issues. Good evening and welcome to Face the Issues. I'm Sam Chen. We begin part 2 of our special Community and Focus special with Jason Beckwith, and we look at his road from addiction to recovery, but then back to help others who are on that same journey. Jason, welcome back to the show. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Last time we talked about your journey, your personal journey from addiction to recovery, and you really focused on the idea of mindset. A mindset that pushed the line, that got you into addiction and then further along in addiction, but also a mindset that got you out and got you onto this road to recovery. You didn't stop there. You could have easily recovered, gone on to other things. You've got a wonderful family and you could have just moved on, but you've chosen to go back and work with addicts who are on that journey. Tell me why.
It comes simply to, I thought that there were loopholes, or not loopholes, there was holes in people's journeys. So when you go to treatment for 28 days, if I've been using for 15 years daily, then I go to treatment for 28 days and then come back to the same toxic environment, statistically speaking, the chances of me making nationwide is 3 to 5% on a 28-day treatment facility. So I realized that the gap was at the end. It's going to treatment. Here's the deal, rehabs only stabilize individuals. That's the truth. I don't know what the public knows about this, but they're stabilizing individuals that are spiritually and emotionally broken. They're only stabilizing. So once they come back, that's where the work begins. Recovery does not happen in treatment. And nobody gets recovery by accident. That's one of my mottos. So when you come back to Butler, is where I'm from, I wanted to create an environment for people that was conducive to increase the odds of success. Like currently, we're 5 times the national average of people staying sober for a year. 10 times depending on what number you're looking at, but I try to keep authentic numbers because people's lives are on the line. I'm not looking for funding. But it comes down to creating an environment that can increase the odds. Because when you hear everybody talk about it, it's the odds are against people. My mentality is, then how do we increase them? It isn't accepting that the odds are against us. How do we increase them? So we started doing things that increase the odds, like going to the gym, strength in numbers, believing in themselves, not letting limitations that other people place upon us, because we're in recovery, limit us. And I shatter ceilings, and now we have people starting their own businesses. They start believing in themselves, and then they come back and help new guys. And it becomes like an alumni, so to speak. And it's feeding off itself, and it's getting better and better as it comes. And that's my passion, because there's human beings. It's not just the individual in recovery. It's the mothers, the fathers, the sons, the daughters, the people, the butterfly effect impact on our society of people in recovery. It's not just them that are needing to recover, it's the family members that need to recover. So it's a lot bigger than most people grasp.
I think remember 13 years ago, I think now, there's that miracle landing on the Hudson River. That Captain Sullenberger led, and they did a reunion in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he said after that, he said 150 passengers, 5 crew members, 155 people. He says it's a number, you see a number, but then you go into that room and you meet the families and you meet the mother saying, thank you for not taking my child, or thank you, wives or husbands say, thank you for not making me a widow, or not making my kids fatherless or motherless. And he says, suddenly it's not a number and it's not one person, but it's a huge community. And the same is true of addiction, is what you're saying, that we look at one person as an addict, but there are countless people that are affected by that one person's addiction.
And if you look at it from a numbers, because a lot of people like to boil things down to numbers, We were just running the numbers today. So 100 people that have gone through our program have maintained and obtained recovery for a year. Out of those 100 people, they did not go back to treatment for that whole year. Now, a treatment stay is roughly $10,000 to $15,000, depending on which facility. That's $1.5 million we save taxpayers money by people not just entering back into the recidivism.
Right.
Now, if people looked at it from a monetary value, if you invested more in the aftercare programming and things like that than you do in the inpatient treatment, not saying inpatient's not important, but one without the other is kind of like you're shooting yourself in the foot. You would save taxpayers money. You would increase the likelihood of success for people in recovery, and you'd better the community as a large, because if there's less crime, that benefits the community. There's more employers, because where I'm from, our employers can't get enough employees. And we have 50 people currently full-time employed in Butler. All of them, they have to work to be in the program. It's kind of a, it's kind of voluntary told kind of thing, but and again, it's a beautiful thing to see the spark go back into people's lives, and then they gain momentum. And all I'm there to do is to fan the flames and redirect. That's really all my role is. Sometimes I'm the den mother, as Pittsburgh said, and sometimes I'm the drill sergeant. It just depends on what role is needed, but they're human beings. And I've had people tell me that when their son passed away, or daughter, that they could finally sleep at night. Because they've been waiting for the phone call for years. If I can impact that in any way, or play any kind of role in slowing down or stopping the death tolls, and it's not just the death tolls, because we're caught up on opiates right now, methamphetamines, benzodiazepines, cocaine is still big. All these are still, one's the soup of the day because of the numbers, but addiction is still rampant. I think we need to take a holistic approach. These are human beings. You cannot just take the sum without the whole. And that's the way we take it. We look at the individual basis. Doesn't matter your background. We just want to try to build them up as human beings and make them believe in themselves. That's really our approach.
Something you said in our first segment was, our first show, was the fact that as an addict, you really felt like you lost purpose. You woke up every day, you didn't really know why you're here. You tried to run from your identity. And then right now you said, part of the process is that everyone has to have a job to get that spark back. Do you see them kind of awaken to their purpose? And does that drive them further in their recovery?
Yes, absolutely. So purpose, it starts with hope, and that's what I give by just me being person in recovery, and others, not just me alone. There's a huge recovery community in Butler. They get hope there, then they hopefully find passion and meaning. And passion and meaning is or purpose and meaning, depending on how you look at it, that's what's going to keep you and carry you to the rest of your life, would be a meaning and purpose of life. Now, a job at Walmart might not be your purpose for the rest of your life, and I'm not knocking Walmart, I'm just saying.
They're not a sponsor, you're okay.
They might not be your purpose, but I try to mind people, to remind them that we're here on this earth if we're not making somebody else's life better in this world, we're not doing life right. And that's what my message that I hammer to the people in the house is like, it doesn't stop just because you got sober. You have, every day rent's due and you owe. And by owing, that means you have to impact people around you positively in some facet. And that mentality, I think, helps change them to believing that they're a pariah or a cancer on society to they're involved in or an active member in their society. And now they feel a part of. And it's not the you and the me, it's the we and the us. And that's that mentality that we're all in this boat together. If it goes down, we all go. So I think building each other up is the best mentality.
180-degree turnaround, mentality, as you said. So great. Jason, we're going to go break. When we come back, I want to ask you about the two groups that you work with. I know they go hand in hand. I want to ask you about the work that you guys do. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Face the Issues is produced and recorded in the studios of Lighthouse TV. Positively different.
I'm recovering from methamphetamine. I'm originally from Allentown. Now I live in a JSB three-quarter house in Butler, Pennsylvania. I have 9 months clean. What made the biggest difference to my sobriety was being tired of living the way I was living, not having anybody close to me. It's such a strong mental thing, but it's also at the same time a physical dependence. It's something. You crave what you used on so many levels that sometimes you're not even aware of it, and it can creep in at any point of any day, and you might not even realize it until it's too late. Some of the things I'm able to do today because of sobriety is obviously hold down a job. I'm currently residing in the same place for multiple months at a time, which is sort of new to me. I'm actually saving money, looking towards long-term career goals, going back to college. It's an incredible house, it's an incredible place, it's an incredible community of guys that we have here. Everybody holds each other accountable. I appreciate everything Jason does for all the guys here. It's really a great spot to restart your life.
Welcome back to Face the Issues. Jason, I want to talk about the work that you do with these addicts, these recovering addicts. You are the founder and president of JSB Works. And the website for those who want to check it out is JSBWorksLLC.com. You call this a 3/4 sober living housing program.
Yes.
We've all heard the phrase halfway house, but This is 3/4. Talk to me about this program, about JSB Works. I know you guys run 6 houses. And your focus is pushing sober living. Talk to me about this project and how this integrates with working with these recovery addicts.
Okay. When I personally went through my own journey, I went to a halfway house in Altoona, Pennsylvania. I was there for 4 months, and then I went back to Butler. Well, I had no support back in Butler because I built up a support system in Altoona, but then they move you back to your hometown. Yeah. And I realized that we weren't catching people as they came back. So I wanted to create, like I said, an environment that was conducive with success, people succeeding in recovery. So we started out with one house, and I even said at the time, one house, that's it, can't. And I had such a waiting list and so many people, and how do you get to decide which person gets to get the opportunity and which doesn't? So then we opened a second house, and then the need, just people started seeing what we were doing locally. And we have a nonprofit, Action and Recovery, that's on the side of that, which what we do is we give like sports equipment and toys away to the local kids. We do concerts, we build pavilions, playgrounds. We are actively involved in our community to positively impact it. And what that does is, if you want to build self-esteem, you have to do esteemable things. So what we do is we create a platform for them in early recovery or whatever to do these things to positively impact. So you're no longer looked at as, oh, there's that addict. There's that person in Action and Recovery that's actually positively impacting our community. There was a flood, that's how I met my wife actually. There was a flood in Butler, and we were cleaning out basements, and that was the start of Action and Recovery. I got a group of us locally, just organized a group of us to go down there and clean out basements for the elderly people, because we all know they keep a lot of stuff in the basement. So now the stuff's ruined. They weren't able to physically remove it, so we did. And I realized, and then the next thing I know, I seen my wife actually was doing the same thing down the street. She had organized a group of people. It's just funny on how the world works, and that's how we ended up connecting, and eventually now we're married. She's the backbone of most of this. She's my sounding board and keeps me motivated. If I didn't have that, I might not be here right now. But it helps. But that's where Action and Recovery comes into play. It gives them a platform. It makes them feel part of something and part of the community. And then the housing is basically, like I said, sometimes, here's a prime example. There's a mentality, like you said. Winners make adjustments, losers make excuses. That's my mentality with these guys in the houses. I get it, you've got a bad past, and I get it, all these things. Now what? You're not responsible for all the things that have happened to you before. I understand. You are responsible for where we go from here. Your best step is your next step. How are we going to make it? Where are we going? How are we going to go about it? What do we need to do? And that's just like, this is who I am. You'll see. If you've known me long enough, I'm just more of a like, okay, we've got a problem. What's the solution? How do we keep it moving?
What's fascinating about that, Jason, is there's when you study the great successful business leaders in the world, people like that you see on Shark Tank, your Mark Cuban, Barbara Corcoran, Stephen Covey wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. They all have that same attitude about business success, right? Stephen Covey says, "I'm not a product of my circumstances; I'm a product of my decisions." Barbara Corcoran famously says that the difference between the really successful people and everyone else is not who took the hits, because they all do.
Yes.
But it's how long they took to feel sorry for themselves and who got back up.
Absolutely.
And so you're taking the same kind of mentality that have propelled people to wild success in athletics and in business and in media and ministry, and you're now applying it to addicts in recovery.
Yes.
And this is more than just beating an addiction. You're really introducing them to propelling life forward.
Yes.
Do you see this as they leave your program? Do you see that continual streak towards success based upon this mindset?
Yes, and that's why we try to tell people not to leave before they're ready, because everybody wants to leave. Butler brought in this company called Twin City Rises. They're from Minnesota, and they taught empowerment training. So I became an empowerment facilitator for Butler, and I do trainings for empowerment. Well, the reason why I signed up to learn it was so I can then reiterate it to the people in my houses, so I can help people in recovery to build them up, and I empower them. I'm very big on, I'm not giving you fish, I'll teach you how to fish mentality. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. Like, there's a time and place, I get it.
Sure.
But if I'm dragging this feeling sorry for myself where it's negatively impacting my life, then I need to reconsider what I'm doing here. So it's really that mentality, but I'm also compassionate. I don't want to come across as this now, but there's a point where you're like, okay, I've heard enough excuses. Now what? You know what I mean? And that's really, you're right. It really comes to empowering people. And then once you do that, they start empowering people. And then before you know it, you've got what we have right now, where everybody's trying to help each other get better. Yeah. And good isn't good enough if it can be better. That mentality. And it really, you can see it resonate. Not everybody's successful.
Sure.
Well, let me not reiterate. Let me recant that statement. I don't know what success and failure is, because everybody wants to dictate whether or not somebody picks back up a chemical.
Sure.
But I've sent 40 people back to treatment after one use. Most people that relapse go on runs, is what they call them.
Sure.
Multiple uses, criminal charges, things like that. And these guys are going back into treatment, they're back in the fight, they come back into the houses, and they restart this process. That's success to me. To me, that's success, because they didn't commit new crimes, they haven't did new, they're able to continue that process. So I hate to say success and failure, because I think that's more of an outsider's point of view on what we do. But statistically speaking, people are going to probably pick back up. But my job is to make that less and less and less likely. Because you build a reality that you don't need to escape from. That's my success, is building realities for people they don't feel like they need to escape from. And therefore, if you don't need to escape, I don't need drugs and alcohol. I don't drink. I don't look at myself as a person in recovery. I'm a non-drinker. I've transitioned over to not being a drinker. Plus, I don't like hangovers, so that's good.
Wise man. Progress is not the enemy of the pure. I think a lot of times people, especially on the outside, forget that. They think you're this or you're this.
Yes.
But you're working with people in that progress.
Yes.
And every step counts. Jason, we're going to go to the break again. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this conversation with kind of the look of the future and where you go from here and where the people you work with go from here. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
I'm 35 years old. I spent probably the better part of 15 years in active addiction from cocaine and heroin, among other drugs. In July, I will have 3.5 years sober. What has living at JSB done for my journey? Taught me how to be honest, and when something's bothering me, to speak on it. It also taught me how to be an employee and be employable. It taught me how to be a father. I get to be a dad today. That's a big one, man. That's a huge one. Because for a long time in active addiction, I was a phone call father. I would call home on birthdays and holidays, and that's about it. I learned how to meet people where they're at, because not everybody's in the same position as the next person. I actually I work in the recovery field today, and I'm a CRS, and I get to help other addicts and alcoholics. I get to support them in their journey to find sobriety. I learned a whole new way of life. I never really gave recovery a chance, and when I did it for all the wrong reasons. I had to make a big decision. This time when I got sober, I almost got let out of jail early, and I knew that it wasn't right, so I had to say something, because I was tired of following the same path that I kept following down all my life, and I knew where it was going to lead to, and I knew that I needed to do something different in my life, because I was going to wind up in prison for the rest of my life or dead. It's not a death sentence, it's not a plague, and not everybody's bad.
Welcome back to Face the Issues. What you've been seeing in between segments are actually clips of people who have been in Jason's house and Jason's program, and you can see the impact that his work has made on them. And so, Jason, thank you for sharing those clips with us. It's always different when you hear it from somebody who's walked that journey, as you have. Jason, I want to ask you, you said 2015 was the year it finally clicked for you.
Yes.
And then you didn't just go on with your life, you came back to help others in that journey. One of the things we talked about last time was this idea that when you're an addict, you don't really think about the future. You think about how to get high that day, you're in for the night, and then just day by day until it's over. Now that you've got your whole life and your future, and as you work with these young men and women who face, who get past these challenges and they can now face the future, what is the future like? Like what's now that you can plan and dream, what is it like for you and for them?
Now, the sky's really the limit. I base it on how God nudges me, because I think sometimes God just gives me opportunities, because people are like, how did you get so far so quick in this short? God. With God, all things are possible. That's all I have to say. Other than that, I wish I could tell you that why God selected me, but I believe that my future is whatever it's supposed to be now. I no longer am being held back by the addictions and things like that, and it's working with people. Some facet, even if I get out of the housing at some point, I'm just going to hand it off.
Yeah.
So I just want, but I'm not going to let my thing get watered down, because I liked what it's going on. But I don't know, anything. Sky's the limit. I like what you said there, though, about what's the future hold. Anything we want. Yeah. There's nothing holding us back. I used to think it was me versus the world. I spent my whole life believing this philosophy, and 99% of everybody in active addiction or in recovery believed that it was them versus the world, and really it was them versus them. Wow. It was me versus me, and I didn't realize it. So the war that I thought I was fighting was actually an internal war that I had no clue was going on, and I find it's my responsibility to go back and help as many people. I did enough damage to the community. I owe a debt to, I actually haven't as many positive articles now as I had negative. And I'm still not done. There's more. Yeah. There's more work. God has more work for me to do. I don't know what it is yet, but as it comes, I'll be prepared.
And to your point earlier, you said addiction's a butterfly effect, there's a ripple effect, where one addict, it's not just that individual, but so is recovery then.
Yes.
And so the work that you're doing now, you say you have 100 people, but that's not just 100 people.
No.
That's families, that's parents, that's siblings, that's spouses, kids. And so there is that butterfly and ripple effect. And then I love what you said earlier about how it's not just you work with them, but they begin to work with each other. Yes. And then alums are working with the ones who are there now. And it's a really beautiful community and a picture of what can happen.
Yes.
We always hear the negative. I just think it's a beautiful picture of the positive.
And that's probably why I started Action and Recovery, because most of the headlines that we hear are drug overdoses, drug busts, things like to that nature. But we're lucky, we're blessed. In my community, I work with all our city council. We work with city council. My wife helps me with the city council. But and then we work with anybody that's in any kind of political position. We work hand in hand. We work with the jail. We work with the rehab facilities. We work with probation. It's a collective unit. And what I realized is there were so many resources, but they're spread out. So we just brought them all into the one area. So most of the resources that Butler offers come right to the house. I'm not making it simplified for them, but a lot of them don't have driver's license and things like that. And if I can remove a barrier, why not? If we're increasing odds, again, I'm not handing out anything. I'm not a handout person. I'm a hand up, not a handout kind of guy. But, and we collectively, by building relationships locally, we're able to create this. It's not just me, I'm probably the driving force, with God's help again, but it's the whole community. And that's what really made the commissioners, everybody that works with us is really what helped it, because it solidified the need, and now it's everybody is supporting each other. And I don't know if it's like that anywhere else. I haven't seen it, and I travel Pennsylvania a lot, but I would like to see that same mentality throughout the state of Pennsylvania and the country for that matter.
Jason, I know you speak a lot at clinics and to people who are battling addiction. You have a chance, someone's watching here tonight, you have a chance to say something to someone who's battling addiction or has a loved one who's battling addiction. What do you tell them?
I would tell them there's another way of living. I would tell them that I know right now things seem hopeless, but if you actually invest in yourself and give yourself a chance, that it's possible. Even though I know they probably can't see it and it's blind, there is hope. There are people that are in recovery. You are not an anomaly. You are, we like to say you're not terminally unique, because that's a mentality that, and stop with the paralysis by analysis, by thinking too much. Go into treatment, give yourself a chance, invest in yourself, and the return on investment is tenfold, and that's what I've done. And I believe everybody's capable of doing it. No matter what part of, how far down that rung you've come, climbing up is possible. And I'm willing to help if I can in any way, and there are plenty of people that are willing to help somebody climb out of the throes of hell.
Last question for you, Jason. If we have viewers who are watching tonight and they really resonate with what you're saying, how can people support the work that you're doing?
They can reach out to the website or the email that was provided. We're always looking for as much connection and networking as possible, because the more people we can help, the merrier. I personally can only handle so much, but that's why we have people currently in training. But I would love to sit down and talk to any county, anybody that wants to listen to actually what a solution-based process is for this. I'm willing to sit down and talk. If I can help people, I'm there.
Well, Jason, thank you for being with us. Thanks for sharing your story, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes our two-part special. I want to thank Jason Beckwith for joining us, for being so authentic and sharing his journey. And I want to thank him for the work that he does day in and day out. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. We hope you'll join us again right here next week. And until then, my name is Sam Chen. On behalf of all of us here at Face the Issues, thank you and good night.